Hi, this is Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, international speaker, longtime coach in professional baseball, and welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I'm excited to be with my man, Mark Worcester. Mark,
Yes, sir.
how you doing,
I'm
buddy?
doing great, Trent. How the heck are you, man? Good to see you,
I'm
by the
so
way.
good. Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to see you as well. Always a pleasure. And I hit that on my Fun Story Friday today on our link about how great our encounter was just a little bit before COVID.
Like
This is
weeks
about, a
before
year and
COVID, we go to a
day.
1,500 person conference, hugging, kissing,
Yeah,
saying hi to everybody.
yeah, not anymore, right? That might
Oh,
that might have been our last
oh,
1500 person
it,
conference.
it may be
We'll
coming
see.
back.
Yeah, it's coming
Feeling
back.
good.
It's coming back. Yes. So, welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I'm excited to have Mark along. Mark is an absolute world beater and fellow entrepreneur organization
Yeah.
member, which I'm excited about. I'll tell you about the show. If you're a first time listener, if you've ever faced stiff adversity, felt like losses are mounting, and you need to find a better way, you came to the right place. We talk to the one percenters, whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, an executive, a leader, leading an organization, just looking to start becoming the elite person and on that journey today, and you're ready to begin, I think you're in the perfect place because
Couldn't
we're
be
going
in
to
a
get
better
great
spot.
insight with Mark.
Yes.
At the end, we will have some time for Q&A. If you have some questions, you can put them in the chat. Mark, before I introduce you, tell them about where people can find you.
Well, I can be found on all of the major social media channels. So, Nurse Mark on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. I mean, I'm out there, but you can find me at thegreennurse.com. And my email address is mark@thegreennurse.com.
Yeah, tell them about your you have a great little morning
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
and
so we
yeah, I
do
love
we
your
do we do
morning.
a
Yeah,
daily dose. We do a
daily
daily dose.
dose.
My
Yeah, by
partner and the
text.
green nurse and I, we
Yeah.
do 5 days a week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a half hour, roughly half hour show that includes a lot around your endocannabinoid system. This amazing system that nobody knows about. And so we talk about cannabis, we talk about exercise, we talk about other modalities. It's a half an hour. It's great. And we start off with a little bit of what we call the daily love, and that's some
Yeah.
inspirational readings and personal experience shares around what it means to be in that 1%, like what it means to really have a life that you absolutely love.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right, we're gonna get to that too. All right, so let me introduce Mark a little bit in context. You're hearing him talk about some great things. Mark is the Boston native, you know. He's a
Yeah,
Pats fan,
me.
and we don't hold that
That's right.
against him. And you're still
Red
riding him without
Sox,
Brady, right?
Patriots. There's
Yeah.
no better place to be. If you're a sports fan, there's no better
Yes.
town to be from than
Yeah.
Boston, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, your Bruins didn't look bad last night.
Not
So
bad at
then
all.
so you ran a $20 million health services brand for years.
Yep,
You've been an EO member for quite some time.
I
You
have.
went back after that experience. You went back and did nursing,
Yeah.
and then became one of less than 150 people in the U.S. with a master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics from the University of Maryland Pharmacy. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
So then you've had Nurse Mark. You started the Green Nurse recently. You're
Yeah.
also currently the COO of Keta
Keta
MD.
MD. Keta MD. Brand new, brand spanking new startup. We're excited. We're in the mental health space. It's an amazing place to be with a particular just groundbreaking um, treatment.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then you're the author of Absolutely Effing Amazing. There it is. Yes, sir. Living
Living a
a
life
life.
you love.
That's it. Living a
Yeah.
life. You're a coach, you're a speaker, you're a podcaster. I like
Mm,
this. I like this quote. When you think of Mark, you're going to think about health, happiness, and cannabis.
that's right. That's
Yes.
it. That's
That's
it.
it.
That's the tagline.
Well, hello, Mark. I'm excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here, Trent. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And we always have some amazing conversations, and this is just a continuation of
Yeah.
of our relationship.
Let's talk about that why.
Yeah.
Trent Clark, I asked you to come on my show. Winners find a way. Tell your why you come out and do this and talk about your life, your challenges, your successes, the
Hmm.
ups and downs. Tell the folks at home, why do you do it? Why do you come out?
You know, I felt called to share my experiences to show people that really anybody can achieve anything that they want if they really have a desire to move in a direction. It can be accomplished, and I'm a perfect example. Like, I've struggled with a lot of issues and a lot of things that, if I didn't talk about them, you'd never ever know. So I came and it's in the book, and it's why I do what I do, is that people, so that people understand, man, you are absolutely amazing exactly as you are.
Mm.
And if you come from that, anything's possible.
Yeah, I love that. I do a fair amount of speaking to teenagers, young
Hmm.
adults, mostly young athletes coming up.
Hmm.
And, there's so much chirping about, you're this and you're that. And there's that insecurity that we all have, right? It's not
Everybody,
just limited to
everybody,
15 and 16-year-old kids. It turns out 51-year-olds have it too, right? And
everybody. It's the
yeah,
human condition.
it is the human condition. One of the things I
Yeah.
love to tell kids is like, hey, listen, you're perfect. Like, God didn't make a mistake on this.
Right.
Like, you were just as the way you're supposed to be, and there's reasons for all of it,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yes.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the most impactful pivot point for you
Hmm.
that you had as a kid when you knew,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to do some great things. I'm going to
Yeah.
set myself on a different path. I
Hmm.
want to I want to go a direction. And was
Hmm.
there a moment for you as a kid that's kind of set that
Absolutely.
off?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, it was when I was 17 years old and I stepped off a bus and stepped into some yellow footprints in Paris Island, South Carolina. So
Mm,
that was the pivot point in my life in joining the Marine Corps and going through boot camp. I had to have my parents sign the paperwork because I wasn't of legal
17.
age, 17 years old
Yeah.
yet. Yeah, I had my 18th birthday when I was in had just recently graduated and I was at school. That was the pivot point, man, because that was the first time in my life that I actually realized that I could achieve things. Like, I didn't have, you probably had a lot of sports experience when you were in high
Yes.
school and junior high, right? That was your
Yeah.
pathway. I
Sure.
had none of that. I had no guidance. My dad worked a lot and wasn't really guiding me in what I should do and how to achieve things.
Sure.
So I didn't have that school sports experience. I really wasn't good at sports. When I entered that Marine Corps boot camp and I went through that experience, that changed everything. Everything came into focus. Suddenly I had athletic prowess. I could do things athletically. I started to play sports at that age. And just that, the mentality that was instilled in me was, you can win. You can win.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So let's talk a little bit. I love the McChesney and Covey book, The Four Disciplines of Execution. It's a nice
Mhm.
book. Recommend it. But I love a quote that came from that.
Yeah.
Winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about your background. It kind of vaulted you in to overcome, become one of those one percenters,
Mm.
in the elite community. And as an EO member, you're in the top
Yeah.
3%. Very few companies can achieve that kind of revenue result,
Right.
right? So
Right.
talk to me about an experience when you had that, when you were up against it,
Oh,
losing, down but not out.
yeah.
What Tell me a little bit about it, like what you did to change things. Set us up with a circumstance.
The circumstances, this, I have such a great example, Trent. And what seemed like at the time a horrible, horrible event really turned out to be one of the best lessons that I could have been given. It's not something that could be taught in school. It was a hard life lesson. So I was running my tech company at the time, and we're doing probably close to 5 million in revenue a year, and we had 40 employees, and we had three partners, and we had just had a breakup of the partnership. So one of the partners left, right? And it was not a good exit. And there was a lot of acrimony and we were really, hard up against
Yeah.
it, right? But
Stress.
yeah, stress, a lot of stress. So we had a line of credit with the Bank of America. And, it was probably out 300K. And, you know, I had that line probably 3 years, and they never asked me to provide financials in that 3 year period. It was kind of a boom time, and banks were lending money like crazy,
Yeah.
and so they came in 1998. This is 1998. They came in out of the blue and said, "Show us the financials." We showed them the financials, and they immediately said, "We want our $300,000 back." And I had no way. They had gave me 30 days. They said 30
30
days, 300,000.
days.
So they put me into this lovely area called forbearance. And that is
Mhm.
when they milk you for every penny that they can get. And they assign somebody to your account where they'll come in and just beat you over the head. So they
Yes.
take all your money. So you can't really use any money to generate new revenue, right? Your capital's all dried up. It's really a difficult place to be.
Yes.
And so I was super stressed. I was super stressed. But let me tell you what I learned from this. I learned to have financial discipline. I
Mhm.
learned to read a P&L and a balance sheet down to the line item. Like I learned how corporate finance works. Prior to that, I was just generating revenue and throwing money at stuff. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
really operating as a real, what I would consider a real entrepreneur, right? So that was the lesson I learned, is how to be fiscally responsible. We paid that money off in a year and they went away. And
Wow. Nice.
yeah, right. So we got out of the
There's very few
jam.
stories that end like that, right?
Yeah,
Like when
right.
you talk about the workout stuff, it's
Whew.
like, oh, the workout usually ends badly, right?
Badly, right? No, it,
Yeah.
it it happened. It worked out really well. The timing was great because Y2K was a huge revenue boon in the tech industry because
Yes.
everybody was worried that planes would fall from the air because the computers would
Yes.
not work. So, right, it was a good timing. But that really really taught me a lesson in how to operate a business, by looking at the numbers, by, really understanding where your revenue and expenses lie. And, I really, it was better than any college course that I ever could have been a part of.
For sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now,
Yeah.
no, so what I hear is that you dove in with the forbearance workout
Mm-hmm.
person, right, who
Mm-hmm.
was coming
Mm-hmm.
in. You dove in with them, came
Yeah.
alongside and said, "Show me the numbers, show me what you need, teach me," instead of what I think most people would like to do, which is like, "Ah, well, we don't talk to them
Yeah.
because they're the enemy, they're not on our team," all
Like
those
it
things.
could have been adversarial, but that wouldn't have accomplished anything because they had the leverage, right? They
Yeah.
had the agreements. They could shut us down if they wanted to. So the best thing that we could have done is do that. But I will say it wasn't just me alone, Trent. I had a great team of people who were working for me at the time, and they believed in the organization. They knew what was going on. They could have jumped ship, but they stayed, and really it was the team that made that happen, right? It wasn't just me. I mean, I was lucky enough to kind of understand how to get people motivated and moving in that direction. I guess that's one of my skill sets. I was able to do it at that point, but the team members were the ones who really, executed on this for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what do you think the superpower is that kind of separates you
Hmm.
from others, that kind of catapults you to that 1%, gives you that ability, why they want to make you the COO, why they want to
Yeah.
put you in that position.
It's, I really think it's my positive energy. Like that is something that I bring to every single endeavor that I jump into, any volunteer work, anything at all. I bring this huge positive energy into the room, and I infuse everybody around me with it. I mean, you have the same thing. I mean,
Yes.
when we get
Well,
together, it's like, whoo, everybody around us is glowing because we're giving it off, baby.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about it. Would if you knowing what you do now? I mean, man, you're talking. This is over 20 years ago. This is almost
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything different? Like, would you think you could have been out in front of it? Like, you're certainly doing things now differently with Nurse Mark, with the Green Nurse, with Ken
Oh yeah.
MD. You're doing
Yeah.
things differently now. What would you recommend folks that are sitting in that hot seat and facing adversity?
I would say that just understand that it's a just a minute in time, like it's just a moment, and no matter what the outcome of that is, you're gonna be fine. Like you're gonna move
Mm.
into a new space. You'll be where you're supposed to be
That's
at the
so
end of the
good.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, because I went through the workout thing, right? Like,
Oh
I
yeah.
was the '09. Actually, we were '08. We were early. Like, we were right after the big, financial group that fell, right? And
Yeah.
we felt like we were
Woo.
on an island. We must be the only, two that messed it up. And then, of course, everything fell off the table and everyone joined in. But
Everybody joined
yeah,
in.
but man, I can really identify that with because when I was living through it, I remember I had to leave the office one day when the stress level got so bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see straight.
No.
I'm like,
Physically,
am
it
I having a
just
stroke? Like
totally.
what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like this, I'm a healthy guy. I work out 4 or 5 days a week. Like I'm
Yep.
like, this is just not a chance. And I'm like thinking something's really wrong. I literally could not see
Mhm.
straight. I had to have one of my, team members of my executive team drive me home. And I was
Bro,
like,
that's the level of stress that I was. You know
yeah,
what? And when I was going through that bank thing, that's when I found yoga because I had somebody tell me, "Hey, dude, you are gonna stroke out. You got to
yeah,
go try this retreat place that I went to a couple months ago." And I found yoga, dude. Of course, I came back and immediately enrolled in yoga instructor school and passed and was a certified yoga
because you're
teacher. But
because you're all
yeah,
in.
of
Because you're
course,
all in, bro.
yeah, because I'm
Yeah,
all in, baby.
yeah.
I'm all in.
That's awesome. That's so good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit of when things get hard on the
Mm-hmm.
journey. I mean, some of the
Mm-hmm.
advices that you've had along the path. That's a good one, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
your piece, and I love that someone would notice that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, these levels are really they got grips on you. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
get it back.
Oh yeah.
Of self control, self health,
Mm-hmm.
and get back to self care. And
Yeah.
it's not going so great because, it's fabulous when someone you respect and know can
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, I know what this looks like 2 years down the road," and you don't wanna go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, think about it. Here's a good example. Look at somebody who's becomes president of the United States. Look at him on day one, and then look at him at the last day.
Oh,
It was like
oh, right?
every one of them ages 10 years in a 4 year
Yeah,
span of time.
yeah,
That's stress, baby.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
all do, right? And
They
maybe
all
maybe
do.
yeah, they all do.
Yeah.
And it's tough, and unfortunately, we have the video to show that, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
here's my photos from, '84, and here you are in '88." Like, "Oh my gosh, what the hell happened?" You know?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about a beatdown.
That's good. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the values you're practicing now. Um,
Hmm.
you've developed. I mean, you've made so many pivots and developments along the way,
Yeah.
both personally and professionally. Let's talk
True.
a little bit about some of the values that maybe helped you see things differently and
Hmm.
gave you a little bit better perspective.
Yeah, man. I think that really what's helped me the most is just understanding that we're all in this thing together. Everybody is subject to that human condition that we talked about,
Hmm.
and that, you know, people are just sometimes the way they are. And, I don't need to take that personally. That used to be a thing that I used to do a lot. I take it personal, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore. That's something that I let go of. So I just operate in the world, understanding that everybody's doing the best that they can do with what they have at the moment. And that
Mhm.
I can just come from this place of compassion and love for people, right? That's
Yeah.
it. If I come from that, and it may sound strange on we're talking about business primarily, right? But
Yeah.
I come from a place of love when I'm operating in the world, and I see that especially prevalent now in EO, an entrepreneurs organization. People are coming around to this way of operating in the world, successful, whatever, from a place of love. Like, what can I give back to the world? You know what I mean? I'm successful. How can I spread that to everybody else? That's what I'm seeing now, and I love it. I really do. I mean, it's such an amazing way to live.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of benefits that you get from fellow, people that are in your s-
Hmm.
position, in your have the same stress as you do,
Yeah.
are living through that. A
Talk
lot of
about it
people
all the
say,
time.
right?
Yeah.
They say, "Hey, it's lonely at the top," right? Well,
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
you spend some time in a forum with some other people that are going through conditions like you're going through, there's so much
Yeah.
value.
I do. I talk about that all the time. At the Green Nurse, we have a mentorship program where we meet every 2 weeks with a small group of nurses, primarily, who want to be in the cannabis coaching space, who want to understand more about that. So I talk about this all the time, man. Like, what you do, what I do, we're providing the opportunity to have that small mentorship space, that small space of being with peers. It's magical. I mean, I cite the example of, first time I was exposed to it was in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
You know, you know, I mean, almost every entrepreneur's read that at some point, right?
Yes.
It's published in like 1933, but
Yeah, it's
one
still
of the
relevant,
gems
right?
in there, one of the gems in there is find yourself a mastermind group. Like, be part of this
Yeah.
group, and it will absolutely transform the way that you operate in business or in life.
Mhm. Well, and I found that to be true. I mean, in all facets,
Hmm.
I would be a personal proponent of that, right? That
Yeah.
has changed things for me and given me different outlook. It's probably, I think one of the best things is probably, talking about that human condition, right? One
Hmm.
of the best things is like Trent's lens isn't always clear and it's not always right. And I hear these,
Dude.
wow, these people I respect come at from
Yeah.
very different lenses, and I'm like, wow, Mark,
Yeah.
I want to see it from your lens, because where I'm sitting, I don't have that vantage. So explain to me how you see that. And so it's like boom, boom, boom. And it's like, wow, okay, I can identify with
Absolutely.
that now. And I don't think otherwise I would have ever saw it.
No, no. I mean, I tell people all the time, my experience in EO, transformed everything, my personal life and my professional life,
Mm,
because of that you just mentioned. This getting a perspective from someone else, a peer that knows what you're going through experientially. So
yeah.
of course, you value their opinion, their perspective. They give it to you. They see things that we don't see when we have this set of glasses on.
Mm. Now let's
Hmm.
talk about, that's good. Let's talk about, you've had a lot of success.
Yeah.
You've also had a lot of challenge, in fairness,
Oof.
right? So a lot of
God
success.
Almighty.
Let's talk about the best battle
Yeah.
you've conquered in your lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. The best battle that would be the battle against me.
Mm,
So, I am my own worst enemy, and I had to work through, I cover it in the book. I've had lifelong depression, mood disorder. I don't know what it's like not to have that. And, I struggled with it. It's not treatable with any medications. I tried every one over the course of 25 years, and
yes.
that's why I wrote the book, because I think people need to hear that. They think many people are out there thinking shit, I'm the only one who's suffering with this, right?
Yes.
Nobody, I can't talk about it with anybody else. You wouldn't say that in the normal entrepreneurial space. But I think that it's hugely important. So that's what I had to deal with. I had to overcome myself, like all of
Mm,
those things, and what it came down to, really, Trent, was self-love. Like, I did not love myself, and that was the root of all of the issues that I had in relationships with everybody else, and my business relationships, because I was always looking to the other person to confirm that I was not valuable. And I would always
Mm.
find evidence somewhere, somehow, that that was the case. Once that was gone, once I worked through that and I used some specific tools, once I was able to get beyond that, and really, truly, I love myself. I really am absolutely amazing. You know,
Yeah.
because
Oh, I know.
you
I
know I'm
know.
absolutely amazing. And
Of
I know
course.
you're absolutely amazing, right? Once I got to that point to where I could own that, everything shifted. Everything
Wow.
shifted. Yeah.
Now, are you covering that in the current book, this book?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
That's fabulous. I tell you, I just
Yeah.
had this conversation yesterday with Dr. Carlos down in Tampa. He's
Mm-hmm.
building some great clinics, doing some great things down there. And we were just talking about like, man, I think there's so much need for mental health,
Oh,
um, that
more
that
than
isn't
ever.
always diagnosed as, "Hey, I've got a condition, I've got a
Right.
diagnosable, I need a pill." I just like to deal with some of the anxiety I get over
Dude,
this, or I'd like
everybody's
to
in
deal
that
with the
space.
stress. Yeah, I get the
Yeah.
stress over this because it affects me, those I'm around, those who love me,
Everybody.
all these things. There's downstroke to all that
All of it.
when my
Yep.
mental health is a little off, right?
Right.
And I think it's really what we've really found is it doesn't take much to knock our mental health off, right?
Listen,
Like,
I mean, what's going on up here is it's complex, man. Like
man,
these circuits get wired and these little synapses and the chemicals and the electrical signals. I mean, we really don't know much about it. And we've
no,
been studying it for a long time.
a
So
long
we really don't
time.
know much, but here's the thing. Everybody's suffering from the human condition. We keep going back to this. We all have to deal with this. And so, especially after we've gone through this and traumatic pandemic that we've been through, right? That shifted a lot for
Yeah.
everybody. The World Health Organization predicts that by 2030, depression is going to be the major global health burden, the largest.
Mm,
So, yeah, mental health is
that's
huge. It all starts up
that's not
here.
that's not great help. It's not really what I want to hear, right?
Well, hey, bro,
Um,
that's why I'm
yeah,
that's why I'm working with Cat MD and the Green Nurse.
yeah,
Like I moved into this space. That's what happened. I moved from my last tech company, dude. I sold at the end of 2017. I could have operated that, and gone out with a great lifestyle company, made plenty of money, didn't have to work hard because I knew the business inside out.
yeah.
So why would I get out of that, move into healthcare and get a nursing degree and get that master's degree in cannabis? Because I got to a point where I realized I wanted to help millions of people live a life that they love. And
Mm,
part of that is sharing my story in the mental health space. Part of it is being involved in two companies that are going to do just that, help millions of people
love
overcome
it.
mental health issues.
Awesome. Let's kind of stay with this because when you look in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
you've probably adapted that. Like, my guess is before you did the work on Mark,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you
Yeah.
went through this process,
Yeah.
you look in the mirror and you see like what most of us see, all the flaws. Oh, look at my hairline. Look at my,
I
like
saw a
look at
fat kid, like a fat kid. I couldn't buy a date when I was 13, 14 years old, dude. You could have given me all the money in the world and I would not have been able to buy a date because I was a chubby kid. I was just, that's what I would see in the mirror. Like when I would look in the mirror for, working through all this stuff, I would see that fat kid.
I mean, even after you went through the training, you're a
Yeah.
Marine, you're in shape. Did
Still,
you still identify that? Yeah. So
still.
when you
Yeah.
see, okay, so let's talk about for those people that
Mm-hmm.
are struggling with this today.
Yeah.
What should they be looking for in the mirror? What are they missing that like, man, I am perfect. Like I was made
Yeah.
just this way for a reason and there's purpose behind that.
Exactly. That's it in a nutshell. You are exactly perfect as you are. We compare ourselves to everybody else.
Everybody.
Like shit, I wish that I was as handsome as Trent Clark. I mean, I wish that I had the
Nobody
baseball
nobody
cap
wants
and
that
the,
money.
you know what I mean? I mean, I
Yeah.
wish that I had these. So, we compare ourselves to other people. What we got to understand is that other people are doing the same damn thing.
Yes.
Like they're saying,
Yeah.
if only,
Mhm.
when you can get rid of the if onlys, if you can look in the mirror and say, this is me,
Yeah.
Like, this is me. You know, I have times now where I say, oh shit, look at the bags under my eyes, the wrinkles. Oh, what the hell am I going to do? Well, then I think of my many friends. I've been blessed to have a lot of friends, Trent. You know, I've been really, really blessed with that. So when you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of friends that die.
Yeah.
I have friends. My best friend from childhood passed away of cancer almost 20 years ago now,
Mm,
um, and left behind 3 kids. When I look at my face and I say, "Oh, you're getting wrinkles, you're getting old," and you start to feel like, "Oh, like I'm
yeah.
getting old. What can I do about it?" I remember that. God damn it, he would love to have another day to
Yeah.
see his 3 kids, to be a part of their lives, to be
Yeah.
there hanging out with me and having fun. Like, that's the
Perspective.
reality. Damn it, I'm
Yeah.
blessed to have another day.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's again, it's those goggles, right? It's those glasses. It's
And,
that
we have it in
perspective.
everything. We have it
Yeah.
in everything. We have it in, the women have it like, "Hey, she's a better mother than I
Oh
am."
my
Like, "Oh,
God. The
oh,
women
she's
have
probably."
all sorts of expectations around how you need to look. I mean, damn,
Oh,
that's it's so hard.
we set
So
that up,
hard and
right?
not
The whole condition
necessary.
sets that up like it's
Yeah.
crazy, and I'm seeing it, in the church too, where it's,
Yep.
hey, I'm a little bit more righteous than you, Mark. Like, right? What? Like,
But
hold on,
I
like,
listen. I at one point, you know, I've done a lot of different things. At one point, I was a Eucharistic minister in a church, so I was in robes and and it was a high church, so there was a lot of circumstance and a lot of pomp
yeah,
and yeah, I was a junior warden, so I get it. I was in that circle. I know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a
It's
lot of
so it
pressure to
goes
look
across
good.
everything, and it's not like
Yeah.
it's not happening with the kids. They're getting it. Hey, someone's this good at math, and someone's good at this.
Oh,
But we all admire people, and I don't think there's a problem with admiration. I like
not
that.
at all.
I admire being like I admire, and I talked about this morning. I admire the way you're present with
Hmm.
people, Mark. Like that's something that's very valuable to me. Like you're present, your presence is the present, right? Like, and it's awesome. And so I took that from our meeting last year in Orlando. I'm like, that's not a chance encounter. I don't think chance
Mm-mm,
encounters happen. I needed that in
mm-mm.
my life. I needed Mark. He gave me a little encouragement. I really needed when I'm getting hit a little bit. I was a little
Yeah.
bit down, right? And I'm thinking like, man, I've got those opportunities too. Am I missing them? Because they're in
Hmm.
front of me all the time. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I could have gone and helped them, but I'm worried about my wrinkles and I'm worried about my, like, what am I thinking, right? Like, what am I focused on?
Yes.
Like, it's crazy,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
I
man. And
know.
I
I
think that's so
know.
good. That's so good.
Hmm. Yeah.
So let's talk quickly about the next thing. Let's talk a little bit about um a quick question I had was who I mean, like you talked a little bit about the Marine Corps,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But who else developed you along the way? I mean, your family was close. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys had property together. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about, what were some of those development like, including family and other people around you.
Yeah. You know, it was yeah, there's a lot of influences. I've been really, really lucky. You know, my mom was a huge influence in my life. You know, she sacrificed everything for her kids. That was her thing. And, you know, she told me one time, she said, I knew when I was a very young girl that my role, my purpose in life was to have children and to make sure that they were happy. And I respect the hell out of that. She did exactly that. And she did that for me and my 3 siblings. And her parents were, I don't think my grandfather made more than $80 a week in his whole entire life. He was an auto mechanic. He'd get up every morning in a small town south of Boston. He'd drive into the city through the traffic, do his job at the mechanic shop, and drive back home. I don't even think I ever saw them take a vacation where they went anywhere, right? Their vacation was stay at home and work
Yeah.
on the house and the garden. But what I learned from them was just enjoying the ride. They just did the same things. They were like solid, sturdy, always there kind of people. And I learned a lot from that.
Hmm.
But there have been so many mentors along the way. I mean, I have been incredibly blessed. Some amazing business mentors and life mentors. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about, let me pivot to the authority, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those itty words, right? Of
Hmm.
leadershipity we talk about.
Yep.
Authority is, it's a challenge. And sometimes I also like authoritative is a negative connotation, but
Yeah.
being a person in authority
Uh-huh.
um, seems to be a little bit less attractive position today, given all the cameras, the media spin, the this and
Yeah.
that. Like every decision is published, every
Hmm.
decision is up for debate on social media, right?
Yeah.
Like anything.
Everything.
So tell me about the current challenges. I mean, you've been in this position of authority for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you seen it changed? And tell me about some of the current challenges you're facing it.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Just being in the spotlight all the time and open for conversation and everything makes it much more challenging to be in sort of an authority position. But I think it's important. I think it's important to be in the authority position. I think that it's something that if you're in a particular space and you choose to be in that, you should always go to be the authority, right? That's why I entered the cannabis space. I was cannabis agnostic, by the way. I didn't use cannabis for 35, 40 years, a very long time. I didn't care
Mhm.
if you did, but I didn't. But once I started to understand the medicinal value behind it, I dove in 100% like I do with everything. So I think what I'm saying is if you're going to be in something, be the authority. Like, go to find this. I had to seek out this master's in medical cannabis science and therapeutics course. There wasn't a course. Like I went around, I looked around the world. I wasn't just looking here. Like Israel is at the forefront of research in cannabis. I looked there for a master's course. Not I couldn't find one. Then I found this one. It popped up, and I'm telling you, I was probably either number one or number two to put in an application. And
Mm,
2 years later, I'm one of 138 people in the world to have this master's degree. Authority, right? I know something about the subject matter. So
mm.
I think that's critical for people to understand is if they're going to be in something, be in it. Go all the way that you can go.
Well, and I think it's one of the things I think we've often found, even though
Mhm.
sometimes misled, with the prisoners who are absolutely fabulous convicts, like who've done. I've poured myself into like learning this skill of stealing something or
Yeah,
whatever, and we
yeah,
somewhat bring that up in our world, right? Like, oh, look at the art thief, the movie, right? And you're like, wow, that's so it's incredible, and we're
yeah,
impressed with they know it so well. And
yeah,
someone who's an art counterfeiter, because you know it so well and they can recreate that value. You
yeah.
have to be absolutely a level of expertise to be sometimes that authority, but certainly to be excellent and to be extraordinary in it. And I
Hmm.
think that's a great lesson for everybody.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the advice. What advice can you give on learning from our mistakes as well as our successes?
Man, we tend to look back at things. I know this is I'm speaking for myself. Sometimes I get into this space of looking back at decisions that I've made and say, geez, I really wish that I had done this differently. I really wish that, maybe I'd worked in this relationship a little bit harder, or I wish that I didn't spend this money on this particular thing, right? And sort of beat yourself up about it, right? But if you put on a different set of goggles, you understand that if you had done anything differently in your life in the past, you wouldn't be where you are right now in the circumstances
Mm,
that you're in, right? So I could have done things differently after I sold my last company. I could have made some different decisions or whatever. I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I'm in this amazing position with KetMD. I have this co-founded this amazing company with my partner Sherry Tutkus, the green nurse. I mean, I wouldn't be married to the woman that I'm married to right now. None of that would have happened had I done anything differently in the past. So
mm.
don't beat yourself up about things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
Number one, the only place that the past is alive is in here. Like it
Mm.
does not exist outside of you. So you can let that all go and just be right here, right now, because that's where you have power and impact is right here, right now.
Yeah, I love that. such a powerful
Mm,
story of how things are. I was faced with that once where a friend of ours was very ill and
mm,
she needed a transplant, a heart transplant.
mhm.
And her son was a doctor for a long time.
Yep. You still with me, man? Well, I guess we lost Trent. I don't know what's happening, but here we are. Leadershipity. So it really was great. Oh, coming back in. And we're
All right.
live.
Hey,
All right.
we're back on here.
We're
I'm
back
not,
on. We're back streaming.
yeah. We are back. Yes.
Sorry we
Okay. So
lost you,
I
man.
apologize. I think I lost a little power here.
Woo.
Um, can you hear me okay, Mark?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So I apologize. I think we had a little storm and then we got a lot of heat behind it today. So I think we might be having a little challenge in the power index here. I took a little hit
Yeah.
there for a moment.
It's all right. We're back. We're live.
We are back and we are live. So yeah, so with that, I'm telling the story of a
Yeah, about your
woman
friend who
had a
had
heart
needed to have a
condition. Her
heart
son,
transplant.
yep,
Yeah.
accident as a doctor and went back to study cardiology. Studied with the one of the top cardiologists in the world, and now we're talking 15 years later, and one of that top cardiologists was the transplant specialist out of the University of Chicago. And so when her when his mom needs this, he has all insider information on how to get
Yeah.
on that list, how to do this,
Yeah.
what's required of you, all these things. Like, how would I get that knowledge had I not gone through this process? Which of what he thought was, the worst thing that could ever happen to him, right?
Hmm.
Like, I can't practice what I've studied and so desire to do forever. I have to pivot to do this and bike, right? He got back riding and he got
Hmm.
that comes from the we don't always understand why we're doing what we're doing, right? Why what's happening is happening.
We don't know. We don't know what the plan is. The plan's like every day. The plan is new and fresh. Here we are
For sure.
on
For
this
sure.
on this live stream.
So let me go real quickly.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about one thing. I know that you think the listeners might find value. I found so much value today in this episode, Mark. It's so good. I enjoyed learning about you know how your presence
Hmm.
is so valuable, how you've challenged and leaned into your mental health, how
Yeah.
you've really worked on you and on the
Hmm.
value of that and self-love and that value and importance. Can't wait to read your book. I'm super excited about that. Especially
You're gonna
summertime.
like
It'll
it.
be a great summertime read.
Yeah.
uh, let's talk a little bit about if one thing that you could share from your experience, the best way to win. Is there something that you want to share with listeners that we did not touch on today yet
Hmm.
that you
Hmm.
found valuable along this journey that probably you keep coming one back to those one of those foundational lessons like, it always has to include this.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say this. People are more important than money.
Mm.
If you're in a situation where you have to choose between money and people, choose the people. It's going to
It's
serve you much better than the money.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Because
Mm,
you watch Shark Tank and we always watch
hmm.
Mr. Wonderful, right? My kids actually like Shark Tank, which I enjoy that, right? Like they're
Yeah.
learning about that. Oh, this is a terrible product, Dad.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wonderful, like he always chooses the money,
Yeah.
right? And it's like,
Hmm.
there's never a risk on the
Right.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a great
They-
example. And
They're,
you have, of course,
they're,
you have a couple of other people who bet on the. We always call it in investing, right? You bet on
yeah,
the jockey, not the horse.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
So let's okay, before we go, first of all, social media, where can they find you, Mark?
Well, listen, like I said, Nurse Mark on Facebook, Nurse Mark W on Instagram, and Nurse Mark on Twitter. So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me, Mark Worcester. That's a great platform if you want to connect there as well. Always happy to have a conversation. That is one thing. I do not turn down a conversation because I have learned that you never ever know where it's going to lead, right?
For sure, for sure. I learned that too as a young man, and one of my mentors said, "Always take the meeting." Like, take the meeting, learn like what they
Always.
have an idea for you. They want to pitch you an idea. They want to talk to you. Take the meeting. It doesn't have to be forever, but like listen to what they've got to say. And I always thought that was good. Conversations are always good. You can follow us on, obviously Leadershipity YouTube Live. We have many more videos on the Leadershipity channel. You can find us at Instagram, Twitter at Leadershipity, leadershipity.com. I am at Trent M. Clark across all the venues, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me there. LinkedIn is probably our biggest. Those are all my handles.
Hmm.
Look for our upcoming ebook, The Pyramid of Leadershipity. We're excited about rolling that out. That's coming soon. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please continue listening. Rate Winners Find a Way 5 stars. Subscribe to our channel. Work hard to find value delivering stories from our one percenters. And they always deliver, just like Mark has again. Mark, I'm gonna put you on the spot in challenge. You've got so much good data. You're well read. I mean, you do a daily, devotional almost, right?
Yeah.
And what's the verse or quote that's kind of your go-to that you just love, you'd recommend, like something you live by, and maybe can set your foundation right, if you feel like you're a little off center.
Wow. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That, it could go to a couple of different places. I don't think I have like a firm quote, but I have some readings that I will go to. And
Okay.
it really it comes down to two, I think. There's one by Werner Erhard, and it's called What So? And he wrote that back in the 70s. And it really is a great short read about setting your mind on this concept that what's happening right now is just what's happening right now.
Mm,
You apply the meaning to it. So that means you have a choice in deciding what it means. So I
mm,
love that because it allows me to decide how to experience something that's happening.
mm.
Yeah. And having that
That's
choice is powerful. It creates a powerful way for me to be in the world.
what so. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And that's written
And
in the 70s.
yeah.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
to that.
And
I'm
he's
gonna
got
find
he's
that.
got some he's got some great stuff, but that's one that I really, really, really love to use. Yeah.
So for me, you talked about it at the beginning, but Mark, one of the things I admire so much about you is that energy. I do feel that positive. I do feel like you have a lot of mind thought control over how you see things, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
going to let the negative come and bend it, and how you can
Mhm.
perceive that and how you can react to it. I've always loved that. So I thought my quote for you today was Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And I thought, man, that's my man, Mark
That's
Worcester, right there. Like he's the
that's
guy.
that's a beauty.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks,
Yes.
man.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, Mark, thank you for being with us today on the Winners Find a Way show. Please tune in next time. We're back here next week. Super excited about our show. We're going to talk a little bit more on mental health. And thanks for listening. We will see you then. Mark, thanks again so much. Everybody have a fabulous weekend.
Love you.